All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun, and we're back talking Critical Role Campaign 4, Episode 6. We finally go full spoilers on this one. Got the shirt. It came just in time for the review, the recap, the reaction. I love it. It's everybody on here. Get your shirt. They're all on sale. Oh, you can't see it when I do that. Super happy, super stoked. The new roll call shirt with all those names. Fantastic. Get yours. Also, if you like what we're doing, don't forget to hit subscribe. We're trying to get to 2,750 subscribers. I know that's not much. So if you're not subscribed, hit subscribe, hit the bell, all that garbage. Also, more. I didn't know this, but they released the first episode of The Mighty Nine already. I haven't watched it. Been at work all day. Went to bed before I could finish this episode, so maybe they announced it then. I don't know. But I just got finished watching this episode. I was watching it last night. I watched it through my breaks at work, and then I finished it at home. And now we're talking. And just a little while, probably before this, I don't even know if this will be out by then, but we'll be doing a live stream of Pluribus Season 1, Episode 3. We're reviewing that tonight. So if you see this before that, check that out too. So, all right, I can talk about everything now. So again, with what I said during the halftime show with the cold open, like I just want to look. It's not like it was bad. I just feel like narratively it should make sense to have it here. It was filmed clearly on a different time, probably, maybe during the first Seekers table. Like, when we see the Seekers, will Brennan be wearing that plaid shirt? How many of these have they done separately? We don't know. But episode 1, right, in the overture, it's all the setup. Thiazi Fang's death, right? Then we have the Casimir fight at the beginning, I think, of episode 2, where it sets up who Casimir is. He's a hero. He saved Thiazi. And then we find out he's possibly betrayed everybody. So that connects each thing with like Bolaire and getting killed. And then he's fine. And we find out that he's a living mask. All these have connected to the story that's happening in that episode. So this one, to me, why couldn't they have just done something else? Why put this here where it would fit better in a Seekers episode? That's all I'm saying. It's cool seeing Valus, a flashback for Valus. And it's cool that we get this connection between Valus and Octus. Both of them can't sleep. That's all great. It's just narratively, why is it here? That's all I'm saying. So that was it. That's my piece on it. It's just weird to me. Like, my brain needs things to connect when everything else is connected. So we are making progress, and they're going to be back at the soldiers' table next week. And I think, they're probably going to stick with it until we get some sort of resolution, either with Sid or with Casimir, before we go to anybody else. We might get both at the same time. But the search for Sid continues, and we are still at Olbid's place, the little gnome who lost his wife and has been waiting for years for his daughters. And it's really sweet and sad at the same time. We had the whole Cadigan thing last week that I forgot to mention about the doll and all that. What's that going to be about? Something's obviously affecting him, but that's for another day. That's for another day. I miss talking about it, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. But what we have here, what I thought was really interesting, and what I didn't elaborate on at the halftime show, was tyranny. Um, when she took the knife in the game, I couldn't tell if it was just Whitney going, "I'm going to take the knife." There really didn't seem to be any like anything other than "I want it, I'm taking it." The full explanation's a little bit better, where she tells everybody like, my character was compelled to do it. I don't know why. The guy is nice, but it to me, I don't know. I just Tyranny is a chaotic character, and I just thought, she steals, she steals. Like, she's kind of that kind of character. So whether or not I think that the explanation works, I mean, it does fit. It's just a little convenient. I like Whitney as a player. And it's fucked up that she steals this guy's knife, this poor old guy's knife who, he doesn't have any way to protect himself. He's got traps, but they're leaving with stuff that he's giving them, and she took it. And since nobody else really was there to stop her, right? All we got was the reaction from the players. And they were like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" So I thought, and the fact that she brings up his dead wife. But again, I feel like this tracks. Tyranny hasn't been, we don't know, but it feels like Tyranny has been pretty isolated, or insulated is the word I'm looking for. And she's been with the Halivars and and the demons on her side of the family, doing what, and before that she was in the pit, presumably, right? So, or that's where she's comes from. So she hasn't been around other people, same as Wick, right? The rest of this gang is a little more worldly, especially Cadigan, and they've all fought and seen things. These two haven't really. It's, despite her being a demon, it doesn't mean that she's experienced much. She just knows what she knows. So the awkward conversation of bringing things up, because she doesn't know, she doesn't understand. It's this weird social thing that she's just like, where are the boundaries? What is cool to talk about? What isn't cool to talk about? So, and Brennan, he really brings it in this episode. It shows off more and more of how good of a storyteller, how he thinks on his feet, and what a great improviser he is throughout. And by the end, my goodness, the picture that he paints is fantastic. But his reaction to Tyranny as Obed is fantastic. And he gives him these eggs that we didn't get to see anything with, but I'm really excited to see what these Chanter's eggs could do. One could cause them to be unseen. One could make somebody sick. And then another one, we have no idea what it's going to do, but it has the ability to change circumstances quickly, which is kind of almost like maybe a moat possibility kind of thing, which is the title of the first episode of the Mighty Nine season. But I don't know. I'm really curious to see if we'll get a chance to use that maybe in the next episode. Also, because there's all these like the door to the fairy world's shut. The door to Fae is shut. And you've got pixies and fairies in the woods, trying to protect themselves from the big folk. I thought it was interesting that Laura's thimble says to Obed, you got a garden out there, and because this is kind of what I did, I tended the garden. Maybe you should see if you can find pixies or fairies that are kind of like need a place to be safe, and maybe work on your garden. Which is kind of funny, because then when they go to a glade in a little bit, they find somebody, but they don't need protection. They're there to protect the glade. We also talk about Wickander's stake in all of this. But to me, because he explains himself, he's continued to have to explain himself to everybody. But what I thought was the most interesting detail about this was him telling everybody about the angel, that where they get their power from. I love everybody's kind of reaction. They've all heard it, but now they get to react to it as their characters finally. And I love how Tyranny and Wick both have each other's backs, both kind of trying to explain away the other people. Like, no, you're fine. You're fine. She's fine. Leave him alone. Leave her alone. She's good. She's good. We're all good. But when he gets asked, like, by Taylor, all right, are you prepared in the end, right? You have this, you're having this, who am I moments, I'm clearly helping. He saved Taylor. He left his family when he heard about all this. They're on the run to help find Sid and Casimir. So he's on the road to the right, redemption, as they put it. But when Taylor asks him, when a push comes to shove, are you going to be able to, stand with us? You're going to be able to stand against your family? Are you prepared to decide between your idealism and them? And Sam's just, without missing a beat, absolutely not. I'm not ready. I'm not ready for it. And Brennan, if you look at his face, he almost breaks right there. That's how fast Sam is. That's why Sam is my favorite, because Sam can he is an incredible improviser too. He is so clever. I also really like when Sam pushes Thimble a little bit here about what is she even in this for? Is it just revenge? And her, matter of factly, she's sitting, she thinks about it for a second and she's like, yeah, I am. And what comes next? That's a valid question. Like, okay, after revenge, what then? And then we get Tyranny as they've left. Also, they get the enchanted toy sword, which is really cool. Just this little toy sword made out of tinsel that can, like, somehow do some crazy shit. Like, it seemed to, let's see, what did I have this written down as? An enchanted sword. Tyranny's looking into the blade that she steals. And again, a toy sword, a little knife, a kitchen knife, all seem to be kind of powerful. It's like this guy maybe doesn't even know what he has. But she sees in the knife Obed looking for the knife and freaking out. And in this moment, it becomes a magical object. Was it something about Tyranny that triggered that? Because this is what she starts talking about something that's going on with her that I haven't seen yet. This is just kind of a new beat. And if it has been something that's popped up before with her, somebody tell me in the comment section. But I like that they called it the great blade of you're an asshole. Because nobody was happy that she did this. And Robbie's reaction to it, I thought, well, Cadigan's reaction to it was fantastic. Like, give me that, just give it. And but at least she tells Wick, right? She tells Wick about it. And then in their conversation, because Wick's spatial awareness for this conversation is he's not telling anything, but they're talking about going back to give the knife back, which at least gives Cadigan and the rest of them to hear, you want to go back? Why do we have to go back? And that's where at least Tyranny then confesses, which I'm kind of surprised. Because this kind of shifts things a little bit, possibly. Because that knife could have actually been something important for Tyranny. Now, there's possibilities for the rest of how many episodes they do where Tyranny's got plenty of time to grow her character and maybe find something else that, like the knife, that somehow has to do with some sort of change in her character. But I like that after everybody knows, Cadigan sends Wulfric back with the knife. Then immediately, well, almost immediately, Travis brings up a really interesting thought, which is now that this thing is a magical object, did we and there's all these red threads and everything. Did they send this magic knife back, which will now kill? Because Travis knows about cursed blades. Did we just accidentally kill Obed? Thankfully, we find out that that's not true. But before we get to that, we get to our first initiative in a while. They're going through the woods. And I like that how Brennan does initiative. He just is like, puts them in a scenario and is like, either give me a check on this or that. Time to roll initiative. And we get 2 initiatives in this. So anybody who was fiending for action like I was, I mean, we get everything in this. This is a hilarious episode. This is an action-packed episode. This is a heartfelt episode. This is everything that episode 5 I wish was. But like I said before, there's going to be a ton of episodes, and some of them aren't going to be bangers. Some of them are just going to be really character-driven, and that's great. But this one moves things ahead. And this, I love how the contrast of these 2 fights are, because this one is basically we're in the wrong place at the wrong time. We should not be here. The people that are attacking them are just defending their territory from big folk. So you've got them, Mike in it. You got a red cap. You got fairies and pixies here. This is a magical forest. And they're all rising up to like, you're not supposed to be here. And Brennan has already created now one of the most hilarious NPCs of all time for Critical Role in Skinner, the red cap. I believe he's a red cap, who is absolutely insane and homicidal. And I loved it. The whole table was cracking up. I'm kill you. just great. And Honeysuckle is also a really fun character here. And and we got a mic in it in here too. We got like all kinds of stuff. But this is Hawthorne's glade. And Hawthorne's kind of like the central figure here. But we also get a hag. We are introduced to a new hag already named Sallow. I am all for it. And through this fight, I was just thinking, please don't, they could be killed too, because Taylor takes some major damage from Skinner. And this could escalate and get even worse. But thankfully, some good rolls. Not just, hey, let's see. Get them out of the situation temporarily. Things calm down, right? Until Cadigan pops up like, hey, and freaks them all out, and they get kicked the fuck out of there. And we find out, though, that Sid was sent to something called the Wraith Tree 2 days prior to this. And we also have Wicks' Candescent Creed religion called out. And I love it, because this is, the things are always relevant. But this is relevant. Hits me home. The topic of religions not taking care of the poor folk. Suddenly, religious people just use the words that are in there to say, well, it doesn't specifically say don't help the poor, but this is how we can interpret it to say, well, this is why we don't, or this is why we do. And that there might not be anything written that says specifically don't help fairy people out, don't feed poor fairies. There's interpretations in how people do things, and it challenges more and more, challenging Wick's faith and belief system, because he's still there believing I'm this. But as this adventure goes on, you can just tell that thread of his faith is going to probably snap, and he's going to become who he becomes, because he's in this fight. He does something he doesn't even know. he does what I said was like calling him like C-3PO from Return of the Jedi. Suddenly turns all gold, lights up, and they all see, and they're like, oh, oh, like Ewoks, man. And we meet another kind of fairy, which is cool. His name is Jouf. He's a Bauka, which is like he can turn into like a single animal form. And I believe it must be an owl because he's got like owl coverings on him that look really cool. At least the way that Brennan describes it. And he's got a connection to Bolaire because he also has a letter that he's supposed to give to Thiazi Fang. We don't know yet what's in that letter, I don't think. But again, another person. And I loved how they described this is just another part of the plan that was supposed to get Thiazi out. And that in order to, like, Thiazi had things, it was like if anything happened, not everybody would go down all at once. That there was possibilities. Like there was a lot of people that knew parts of things. And that not one person, it seemed, knew everything. That's smart. Didn't help him in the end, but it's still smart. And this guy knew Thimble, but he's not talking to Thimble. Taylor has to give Thimble the letter, separately. And they get told, look, if you want to know some stuff, you're going to have to talk to Sallow the Hag. And there we go. Laura as Thimble. Laura is now dealing with another hag. Except this hag interaction is a bit different. Not all hags are like the hag in Campaign 2. And I'm not going to spoil anything. But they're not like the hag in she's not like the hag in Campaign 2. At least in this moment, she's not she's benevolent. She's scary. She's a hag. But she actually helps and tells them where it is. But not before they also she shows them Casimir's betrayal. Now, we saw him be heroic and save Thiazi Fag's life. And in this memory, we see he don't have no love for Thiazi. In fact, he wants him to knock that smirk. Hey, look at that. Off his face before the end. What happened there? That is another big thing. Are we going to get to know? Is Casimir going to be able to tell that story? Or are they just going to straight up, before he gets a chance to do anything about it? But she tells them where is to go, and they find basically what I think is kind of like an Ent from Lord of the Rings, which is the corpse of an animated tree, a dead tree now. And there's wraiths and zombies that all get raised up. So this is for real fight. This is holy shit fight. This is a forest full of undead things, and this wraith and this tree are in the center of it all. And Wick almost buys it. This is another incredible fight. I do like how Brennan plays combat. He's very accommodating. There's a moment where something happens and and Sam throws in immediately. Well, Matt used to always let us do things like this, which just cracked everybody up, cracks me up. Just that whole playing mom and dad against each other kind of vibe. Or, the kids with grandma, when you go over to grandparents come over and they're like, oh, sure. Yeah. They let us watch this show. They let me play this game. Grandma and grandpa don't know nothing. And in this, the toy sword gets to do some crazy cool stuff. It does extra damage. It's a sword made of tinsel, play, and dreams, as Brennan puts it. And Wickander, on the verge of death, he's probably going to die in this fight. Brennan rolls a natural 1, saves his life. And they eventually figure out how to burn this tree down to get out of combat. And Sid's brother, though, or Tayor's brother, Sid, is not amongst the dead. Where he is, I don't know. But there was a vision that one of the fairies had where he was, in a carriage with enemies. So when we come back next week, hopefully they catch up and we can get at least to Sid and possibly Casimir too. Um, and that was fantastic. And I'm glad we're sticking with the soldiers until at least some sort of resolution to something happens. At least that's what I'm assuming. But we've made assumptions before and been wrong. So that's it. That's episode 6. Uh, it was so much fun to talk about. I don't think I missed as much this time. I'm getting better. I'm having more fun. So don't forget to be back here next week. We'll be doing the halftime show as long as it's before a certain time. We'll be reviewing and recapping episode 7. We've got the Mighty 9 reviews. I'm probably going to review episode 1 sometime this weekend. And then I'll review episodes 2 and 3 when they come out. Plus, we got more Pluribus. Episode 4 will be next, either Friday or Saturday. So lots of stuff going on the channel. And we've got the podcast over at the Outer Rim Podcast. You can check out and subscribe over there. And at some point, I'll be able to find time to play games again. It's been off and on with so many things going on. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to get your shirt. We'll see you guys on the next video. Bye. Ba 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 bum. Ba bum 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 bum.